Welcome to Brandcasting with Relationary Marketing, a new podcast all about how to build a professional branded podcast that delivers on your business's goals. We're excited to share some of our best advice from over the years paired with some of our favorite folks in the industry. Experts like Jeff Brown, radio veteran, podcast coach, and host of the super popular show Read to Lead podcast, who reveals the value of using a podcast to expand the reach of your message.
I would just say that if this is a place you're not currently publishing content, you need to really dig deep and ask, why is that? Why are you not doing that? There are so many, as we said a moment ago, places where you could be found that you're missing out on.
Data shows us that each year, brands and corporations are increasingly adding podcasting to their content marketing. But they struggle to do it well for a few reasons. One, they don't have the specific expertise needed. And two, they lack the in-house talent and resources to consistently produce high-quality podcast content. And that's where we come in. And that's why we've created this podcast for you. Relationary Marketing is a turnkey podcast production agency for B2B content marketing. Simply put, we help brands and agencies create engaging podcast content that establishes thought leadership, promotes special events and conferences, and most importantly, nurtures key relationships. In fact, that's how we came up with our name, Relationary. I'm your host, Clark Buckner, co-founder and partner here at Relationary, and over my 8 years of podcasting, I've developed a 5-step proven process for producing B2B podcasts. We've successfully deployed these steps in partnership with marketing agencies and even several Fortune 500 companies. In Season 1 of Brandcasting, we'll take you through each of our 5 steps: content design, prep/invite, recording, post-production, and publishing. The first step, and arguably the most important, is content design. In this step, you'll establish the main goal of the show. That's the purpose. And here's a tip. There will be 1, maybe 2 primary goals. You really need to keep these specific. And the reason why is because these goals will help you identify your target audience, along with what success means for your show. And another tip, for most brands, success is so much more than just podcast downloads. Content design is about setting the foundation of your podcast, and the rest follows. One of the guests we brought on for this particular topic is Emily Seiner. She's a news director at Nashville Public Radio, WPLN. She talks about what's important to keep in mind when you develop a new podcast.
I think this goes back to the idea of what is your show's reason for existing in the world? Like what hole does it fill that doesn't already exist? So rather than just throwing something up because you have an idea, thinking about where it fits into the context of this entire podcasting landscape.
Step 2 is the prep/invite. When you have an interview-based show, who you invite on matters, and how you prep them matters. Both are valuable relationship nurturing touchpoints, because when you make that ask and identify why you want your guests to be on the show, they're going to feel great. But it's important to make sure they're prepped so they don't accidentally hijack the interview. Not only will they have a better experience on your show, your audience will thank you for it too. That brings us to step 3, recording. This is not only when you hit record on your equipment, but it's also your recording environment. The gear and workflow you use, along with where you actually record, determines the quality of your audio. To dig into this more, we sat down with Rob Winter, the marketing manager at Auralex Acoustics and owner of New Noise Music and Sound Design. He shares his tips for capturing quality sound that will build credibility with your listener.
Your number one goal is to make sure that the listener is engaged, the listener is paying attention to your message, listening to the story, and whatever you can do to make sure that listener does not leave that because of something you can take care of. Really important.
Step 4 is post-production. In this step, you'll polish up the audio while preserving the authenticity of the person who's sharing their story. For instance, we'll edit out what we call isolated ums. These are ums, ahs, and other little phrases that are distracting. But we definitely want to keep some of those ums and ahs because, well, that's how we talk as humans. We'll also preserve pause and timing and breath. Because what you don't want to do is chop up every little sound where you're cutting out the air and the breath that people take. It sounds like this, and that does not sound normal whatsoever.
1, 2, 3.
It's in the post-production phase where you also add in narration and music assets. This is the part of the editing that transforms your recording into a finished product. We also have an episode planned where we're going to give you a sneak peek into how we build our own custom original theme music for all of our shows right here in Music City. The fifth and the final step is publishing. Whether that's posting your episode onto an RSS feed, which is how you'll show up in Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and all of those. Or maybe it's just adding an embed link to a blog post on your website. Different strategies call for different tools. To talk more about publishing, we chatted with Min Lee. He's a director at DVL Siegenthaler, a public relations firm based in Nashville, and they're part of the global Fin Partners Network. Min explains why it's important to focus on your audience and remind yourself what success actually looks like.
Not every company's going to have thousands of people that they can engage, but even if it's 20 or 50 folks internally that you can help get the word out, that's a huge help. And who knows, those 20 or 50 could have 2 or 3 friends, and that grows to hundreds and hundreds. And then I think that's just how you get the snowball effect rolling.
There you have it. Those are the 5 steps. With the help of some of our favorite podcasting and content marketing experts, this season of Brandcasting is going to give you a deep dive into each of these 5 areas so you, too, can start and succeed with a professional podcast for your brand. We can't wait to tell you more about these 5 steps and how we can help you build a branded podcast. Make sure you don't miss an episode. You can join our mailing list and subscribe now on Apple Podcasts or wherever you find your favorite shows. And for more content like this, head on over to our site, relationarymarketing.com/podcast.